Hey everybody, welcome out to the Dice Tower. My name's Chris Yi.
And I'm Wendy Yi.
Today we're taking a look at Medieval Academy. This is the second edition of a game that came out, gosh, maybe 10-ish years ago or
Quite
so.
a few years ago, yeah.
Designed by Nicolas Ponsin, and then the artist here, Antoine Lanau. So yeah, cute kitty cat version of an older game re-released here. This is one that we've played for a long time.
It is one that we played for a long time, and we'll do maybe a little bit of comparison to the original, but mostly we want to review this as the game that it is for itself. So I'm going to go ahead and show you briefly how it is played, and then we'll share our thoughts. Medieval Academy is a tracks and drafting game where players are going to draft cards at the beginning of each round to draft a hand. And the way that they will do that draft of picking a card from the hand and then passing that hand around will be determined by the arrow at the top of whatever round it is on. So currently the first round, you're going to be drafting those cards in a clockwise manner. Once all the cards have been drafted, then the person with the sword, who's the first player, is going to go ahead and start by playing a card and moving up on that associated track that many spaces. So that would be 2 on the quest track. And then in clockwise order, everyone is going to play cards until they have 1 card left. Everyone will have a single card that they will not play at the end of the round. After all the cards have been played and the last ones have been discarded, then we're going to come over here to this handy dandy player aid, and we're going to go ahead and see in the first round that the first 3 tracks are going to score. We always move top to bottom, so we start here first with the kitchen track. Now, in the kitchen track, what this does is this allows you to move up on other tracks. So whoever has first place can move 3 spaces on any one other track on the board. The second place will move 2 spaces and then 1 space. And you're going to actually perform these in backwards order so that the person who's in first place gets the highest benefit. Because in this game, if you are ever the person to be on top, then you are in first place in that track. That's how ties are broken. Okay, so the kitchen lets you move forward. Then we have the tournament and jousting tracks. These are 2 tracks, and when you play a yellow card, you get to choose which of the 2 tracks you want to move on, but they score exactly the same. So the person in first place will get 3 points, second place is 2, third place is 1, and then everybody else will get nothing. And you'll score each one of these tracks separately. The purple track over here is the studies track, and this is going to be only negative points for those who are behind. So right now, purple would lose 3 points, yellow would lose 1 point, and pink would just be safe by losing nothing. The green king track here down the middle is going to reach certain objectives. So you have to reach this 6 mark over here to receive 6 points, and then you have to reach all the way up to the 12 to receive 12 points. As you can see, these you can only score on the 3rd and the 6th round, so you have 3 rounds basically to see how high you can move up. But even if purple was up here to the 5, they would receive 0 points, and even though both pink and yellow are above the 6, they would only receive 6 points. Finally, we have the 2 endgame tracks. We have the blue town track and then the red quest track. Now, the town track works kind of like the studies track where it's minus points, but it's minus larger amounts of points for being the ones in the back. And then finally, the quest track is plus points, very much like the tournament and jousting tracks, but instead they are much larger amounts. So you've got 17, 10, and 4. So players are going to continue that drafting and then playing their cards each round all the way through the 6 rounds, scoring up all of their points, which do stay hidden. And then at the end of the game, the player with the most points is the one who's going to win. All right, so in the overview, I did just show the day side of the map. There is a nighttime side that has different scoring and stuff, but the tracks work basically the same. There's just a few different changes.
Now that is a carryover from the original version of the game where instead of having 1 big board, they were 7 small little mini boards, and you could mix and match, using A sides and B sides. This one, the B side, you have to flip the whole board over. Several of the tracks are still actually the same. But then they put fun little variations. So instead of scoring the knights, the jousting track every single round, it scores every other round. There's a little extra tug of war, so one side scores more points than the other. Little variations like that, but it keeps the core of the game the same. It's card drafting and then you play 4 of the 5.
It does add just a little bit of variety. Yeah, there's also a solo mode and a 2-player mode, which we have not tried either. But compared to the original, the 2-player mode was like a totally different game. It was like an I split, you choose secret kind of thing.
It was really weird, yeah.
It didn't feel like the core of this game at all. Whereas the 2-player variant, is just a new player aid that has different scoring conditions that are similar but different from the base game.
And it's good. We played a lot of the original 2-player. There was also a way that instead of doing the I split, you choose thing. There was just like a draft, but you had a dummy player, third player that you drafted for. No. We made up a variation where there were 2 dummy players because that was more fair than taking turns controlling one dummy player. It was, yeah.
This is when we played a lot of Seven Wonders, and we're like, we can make this work.
We played a lot fewer games then. We're like, yeah, let's tinker with it and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that this is a cleaner 2-player mode. I already tell how it works, and it's fine. The solo mode I haven't messed with. But this is a game that I was happy to come back to because it's one that I've wanted to actually come back to just on its own because I always really liked this game. I like card drafting, and I like that this has a fun little wrinkle where you don't just play out the cards as you draft them. You have to wait until the card playing phase of the game. And that to me kind of makes this one.
I think it's interesting, too, that as you're drafting those cards, you know you're drafting one that you're not going to use, but you don't just draft, oh, this is a dumb card. Instead, as you're playing out cards, you're making that choice because you're trying to decide, like, oh, now I've seen that Chris has really moved up on the kitchen track a lot, and I really wanted that extra movement later on in the game. So am I going to spend some kitchen time? It won't really matter. I'm going to hold on to that, and I'll move up on the jousting track or something else because it'll get me more points. So I appreciate that you have those 5 cards, and you don't just decide from the get-go, like, I don't want this one, I discard it, but instead you're feeling it out as you're playing and seeing what else everyone else plays.
And that, to me, is what really elevates this game from just like, oh, it's like a mid-weight game between Sushi Go and Seven Wonders. Like, no, it actually is different in that form. And that is exactly why. Sometimes that last card that just gets handed to you, you're like, and then, like you said, 3 cards in, you're like, whoa, actually.
Changing my mind.
Yeah. I think that's brilliant. I like that the different tracks score in different ways, and so you can invest in the long run, avoiding negative points and getting positive points, which in a lot of ways is the same. It's just that emotional feeling of like, I don't want to lose points.
Yeah.
But you know what? It drives people to play a little bit differently, so I'm okay having that mix of positive and negative in here.
I find this game to be very interesting because it really is just an area majority game with a bunch of different areas. But I appreciate that the track creates such a clean way of seeing very quickly who's in the lead. And because you have that, I don't know, what do you call it, that felding mechanism where you are, if you jump on top of someone, you are now in the lead, even though you're on the same space. I think that is so clever, and it affects the timing so much that it's not just, okay, who has the most pieces there, but instead it's like, okay, I'm waiting to see if Chris is going to move up on this particular track because I know I have exactly 3 movement, and if he does move, then maybe I can hop on, on top of him instead of the opposite.
Mm-hmm. The old Dr. Seuss hop on pop mechanism.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I think that this is a great game that holds up about as well as I remember it when we first played it, maybe a decade or so ago. And maybe I'm getting the number of years wrong. And I think that this is a nice new addition. The kitty cat is cute, right? The main character on all the cards that you draft. I like that in the original, the previous edition. It was a little bit more over the top. And the difference between the cards 2 through 5, they do the same thing in this version where the 2 is like a weaker, like the illustration shows the cat being like pretty bad at whatever task.
He's like falling asleep on his books, yeah.
Yeah, the study track, and then on the 5s, he's like big baller boss, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like just artistically, I like the original one. I feel like it expanded what the 2 art versus the 5 art and everything.
Right.
We're picking nits here. Like, this is nitpicking for sure.
Yeah, this isn't going to affect my score.
Yeah.
The actual board just being one board, I think, makes it quicker setup, but so minimally. Whereas I liked that the individual boards were just a smaller table presence.
Kind of fit them how you want it to.
Yeah, and I felt like it was more easy to see, like, this is the purple track, this is the pink track, this is, like, it just was a little bit easier to see.
And
it's very minor.
And this board is a little bit bigger than it feel like it needs to be.
Yeah.
But that's fine. That's fine. So overall, final thoughts wise and everything, I'm giving this game an 8 out of 10. An 8 out of 10. I really enjoy it still. It's probably dropped just a hair from, when we first played it or when we were playing it regularly years ago. But I still think that this is one that people should check out because it's drafting done a little bit differently. If anything, its closest analog to the form of card drafting might be Blood Rage, where you're drafting for the intent of playing, or Inish or something like that, where you're drafting for the intent of then having that card play phase where it really matters. It's more like that than Sushi Go or Seven Wonders, honestly. And I think that it still stands apart in that field that way. So an 8 out of 10, a very high score for me.
Okay, I'm going to give this an 8.5. I am so happy with how well this held up. There's obviously those visual changes, but they don't matter. And if I were to look at this game as just coming first into it, I think mechanically, for me, this is so clean. Just the simple, drafting, get your hand of cards, play those cards, move up on the tracks. It's all very clear how everything scores. I think the player aids work very well. I know in the overview they're a bit blurry and they're kind of hard to see, but I do feel like they work so well. They're very clean and obvious of what they do and how everything scores and when stuff scores, when tracks reset. I feel like all that information is there, but the actual game is a lot of fun. And I think this is a great way to do area majority, where it is about the card play and less about all these other mechanisms that I'm less interested in. So I really enjoy how this all fits together. So 8.5 for me.
So there you go. Both of us absolutely recommending. If you find an old copy or a new copy, I think either way you're having a great game.
It's fabulous.
But if this is the one you can find, please go hunt it down. A high score of an 8.5, giving Medieval Academy a seal of excellence from us here at the Dice Tower.
There we go. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Wendy Yi.
And I'm Chris Yi.
And don't fall asleep on your books. That's a bad look.
Chris, wake up!
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Bassel.
All right. This was 24.
Oh, you're going to make me turn off the recording?
I forgot about that entirely.
I got it!